With my busy schedule, a CUB debit and credit card is a must. It makes my life much easier and one less thing I have to worry about.
Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to the first day of our preliminary round in the Caribbean Union Bank Inter-Secondary School Impromptu Speaking Competition. Yes, after 2 years, we are back with you. And this evening, our program promises to be a very exciting and educational one. This evening, we have 4 schools: the Antigua Girls High School, the Antigua Grammar School, Glanville Secondary, and the Irene B. Williams Secondary, who will be participating in the first day of our preliminary round in our impromptu speaking competition. And I just want to acknowledge our students at this time. So, we will begin with the Antigua Girls High School. Joanna Gasper, please stand. Josanne Charles. From the Antigua Grammar School, Dane Giddings, Aaron Gittons. From the Glanville Secondary, we have representing Deanna Romeo, Imani Hall. And from the Irene B. Williams Secondary, we have Diego Bascom. Let's give a round of applause for all of our participants. Now, it's been a while, so I wish to remind you of the guidelines for the impromptu speaking competition. Each participant will choose a number which will indicate the topic on which they will speak. The participants have already chosen their topics. Participants, you are given 3 minutes in which to prepare, and we wish to remind you that you're not allowed to write any notes during that time. Once your time of preparation has finished, then once you're called upon to give your presentation, you have 2 minutes in which to do so. The timekeeper this evening, who is Miss Aisha Lynch, will indicate with one buzz of the bell after 1 minute would have expired, and will ring the bell twice once your 2 minutes would have expired. As usual, we have a 3-member panel of judges, and I introduce them to you at this time. Our Chief Judge and Deputy Director of News and Current Affairs at ABS Television, Mr. Ursel Charles Jr. Ms. Sharon Herbert, Social Sector Planner within the Ministry of Social Transformation, and Mr. Kadim Joseph, News Producer and Health Editor at Observer Radio. Please welcome our judges. And judges, we want to extend our sincere gratitude for you taking up this challenge to adjudicate each of these encounters during our impromptu speaking competition. Please give our judges a round of applause. And ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, we are just about to begin our impromptu speaking competition for this evening. But before we do so, let us hear from our sponsors, Caribbean Union Bank.
Responsibility is the price of greatness.
Thanks CUB for your part in an early savings plan for our children.
Welcome back to the preliminary round, day 1 of the preliminary round of the Caribbean Union Bank Inter-Secondary School Impromptu Speaking Competition. I am Alicia Knowles, filling in for our usual moderator, Mr. Phil George, who could not be here with us this evening. And this evening, we begin the impromptu speaking competition with our first speaker, Mr. Dane Giddings from the Antigua Grammar School. Mr. Giddens, I remind you that you have 2 minutes in which to make your presentation, and you will speak on the topic, should the mask mandate continue? Should the mask mandate continue?
Good day, everyone. How would it feel to be maskless in today's system? The mask mandate has left us with this mask on our face, which is annoying, having to leave home every day, hoping that you don't forget your mask at home. Today, the topic I will be talking about is should the mask mandate continue? I believe the mask mandate shouldn't continue for a few reasons. One, most students are vaccinated, and two, the COVID cases are going down. As more students become vaccinated, there's no need for these masks no more. At school, we wear these masks to protect ourselves and others, but now the vaccine has helped to protect us. The cases of the coronavirus vaccine has become less. This means that the virus is not spreading more, meaning students can now take off their masks and be able to breathe better. I conclude that if we are able to be without our masks, our life will continue better and we'll get back to a sense of normality. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Giddens from the Antigua Grammar School. You may have a seat. And we will move to the next participant. I will inform you a bit later as to how much time Mr. Giddens took to make his presentation. We will now move to the next participant from the Antigua Girls High School, Miss Josane Charles. Miss Josane Charles. Please welcome Miss Charles as she comes. Miss Charles, welcome. And I remind you that you have 2 minutes in which to make your presentation, and you will speak on the topic, remote learning has its benefits. Remote learning has its benefits. Your time begins now.
So, good morning to everyone. Remote learning has many benefits, but I will only list 3 points. 1 point of remote learning could be it encourages both students and teachers to learn computer literacy. Computer literacy is very important, especially in these times where the world is very technologically advanced. Another skill would be teachers can find creative ways online to teach students and find different ways for students to learn. They have various games, various websites that students can go up on to learn. Also, various books that online that can help that physical books will not. Another skill would be it encourages students and encourages teachers to adapt to a new skill, because remote learning is not something easy. So adapting to remote learning just gives you another skill to learn. In theory, in conclusion, the benefits that can be attained by remote learning are computer literacy, creativity, and learning a new skill asset. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Charles. Ms. Charles made her presentation in a time of 1 minute and 31 seconds. And as promised, Mr. Giddens made his presentation in a time of 1 minute and 30 seconds. We move to our next participant from the Antigua Girls High School, and that participant is Kewana Farrell. We welcome at this time Kewana Farrell to the podium. Good evening, Kewana.
Good evening, everyone.
I remind you that you have a maximum time of 2 minutes to speak on the topic, why does depression usually go unnoticed? Why does depression usually go unnoticed? Remember that the bell will sound once after 1 minute would have expired, and then will sound twice when your allotted time would have expired. You may begin.
Good evening. Why does depression usually go unnoticed? Depression is a mental health issue that many persons may not know exactly how to express. Some persons, depression, they internalize what is happening to them, they internalize their feelings, and they often let out a silent cry for help. But it goes unnoticed because persons, the people who they may be crying to help for, they don't understand the signs or do not recognize the signs. Also, depression, it goes unnoticed because some persons do not express themselves as they feel like people may not understand them, persons may not know how to help them, or they often don't express these feelings at all because they feel that these feelings are inadequate and that persons cannot help them in the situation. Depression may also go unnoticed because people who internalize these feelings often keep to themselves, and also it may also go unnoticed because it is not something you necessarily see playing out. Persons who suffer from depression usually keep a poker face, so they do not let you know that there are issues in their lives or they are going through things. Also, the depression may go unnoticed because depression is not an upfront mental health issue. It's something that people tend to mask with happiness, laughter, joy, and these other joyful emotions. So it is not something that is in front of your face for you to realize and understand. So this is why I feel like depression is something that goes unnoticed. Thank you.
Thank you, Kewana. And Kewana completed her presentation in a time of 1 minute and 50 seconds. 1 minute and 50 seconds. We now move to the next participant from the Irene B. Williams Secondary. Please welcome Diego Bascom. Good evening, Diego.
Good afternoon, everybody. My topic is face-to-face communication is better than communicating through social media. Face-to-face communication is better than communicating through social media because it is financially feasible, and two, it's transparent. The first reason as to why face-to-face communication is better than communicating through social media is that it is financially feasible. Some of us may not have internet at home, so when we send a message, it will take decades for the other person to get the message, or they might misinterpret the message that the person is trying to send. It's not economically possible for you to send messages through social media. Because face-to-face communication is better, it is cheaper, you don't have to spend any money trying to reach your message across. The second reason as to why face-to-face communication is better than communicating through social media, that it is transparent. For example, in secondary schools, if I'm trying to get my message across, some people might misinterpret the messages and take the message as a different way, whereas through face-to-face learning, the message is clearer. What we discuss is what we discuss. We're on the same page. And through social media, people can delete messages, and it can cause a lot of conflicts. So in conclusion, face-to-face communication is better than communicating through social media. It's better through communicating through social media because, one, it is financially feasible where you do not have to be spending. If some people do not have Wi-Fi at home, when you communicate face-to-face, you don't have to spend any money on internet. And two, it shows transparency. Nobody can delete any messages, and the message gets across as it stands. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bascom. Speaking on the topic, face-to-face communication is better than communicating through social media, and he did so in a time of 1 minute and 51 seconds. And we are ready to hear from our next participant. And she comes from the Glanville's Secondary School. Please welcome Miss Imani Hall. Good evening, Imani.
Good evening.
Your topic, more learning takes place outside the classroom. More learning takes place outside the classroom. You may begin.
My topic is more learning takes place outside the classroom. I believe more learning takes place outside the classroom because, for one, learning inside doors, you don't get to experience new things. For two, going outside, you get to experience new things. For one, being inside, you don't get to experience new things because, for example, you're homeschooled your whole life and you don't get to do other activities like public schools and activities that involve being outside. Outside is good for more learning because when you're outside, it helps you to experience and learn new things because you get to go outside to experience new things, like, for example, doing activities that involve outside. To recap my reasons, to conclude, more learning takes place outside the classroom because, for one, learning inside, you don't get to experience new things. Two, being outside, you get to experience new things.
Thank you, Imani. And Imani made her presentation in a time of 2 minutes and 5 seconds, speaking on the topic, more learning takes place outside the classroom. We move on to the next participant from the Glanville Secondary School, Diana Romeo. Please welcome Diana to the podium. Good afternoon, Diana.
Good afternoon.
Your topic, women make better leaders, myth or reality? Women make better leaders, myth or reality? You have 2 minutes in which to make your presentation. You may begin.
I believe that women make better leaders because, one, woman stays home, do more housework. Two, I believe that women make better leaders because, one, they lead a home. Two, I would say they lead a home because most mothers of the house do all the work in the home. Two, woman also leads a lot more than just stay home. In workplaces, they set a lot of example all about communities schools, and other places. So I conclude that women are better in leadership.
Thank you, Deanna, for your presentation. Deanna made her presentation in a time of 1 minute and 25 seconds. Speaking on the topic, women make better leaders, myth or reality. Our final participant for this evening comes from the Antigua Grammar School. Please welcome Aaron Gitton. Good afternoon, Aaron.
Good afternoon.
You'll be speaking on the topic, the lifting of the pandemic curfew was premature. The lifting of the pandemic curfew was premature. You have 2 minutes in which to do so.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. The COVID-19 pandemic has brought about many lockdowns and curfews in this country. This has caused the cases to go down. The lifting of the curfew was premature, mainly because, 1, cases continue to rise, and 2, the people in this region, they like to hang out late, so it will result in the spread of COVID-19 more. Now, since people do like to hang out late at bars and restaurants and clubs and so, it will result in the spread of COVID-19 more. This will lead to a surge in cases as seen evidently in the dashboards recently. Also, the lifting of the curfew, it was not premature because now the cases are still going up, so it was not premature because now the cases are going down, so it's more of a matter of individuals playing their part in helping to prevent the spread of COVID-19 than what the curfews have been doing. So in conclusion, the lifting of the curfew was not premature, and it's only a matter of individuals' duty to adhere to protocols of the COVID-19 pandemic. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. Aaron made his presentation in a time of 1 minute and 45 seconds, speaking on the topic, the lifting of the pandemic curfew was premature. Please applaud all our participants for their excellent efforts this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of this evening's preliminary round session. Of course, our judges will not present their report this evening as we have another 5 participating schools to compete in this round. So, next week, please join us as the judges will tell us exactly which 6 will advance to the semifinals. Until then, do have a pleasant evening. Thank you.
Our parents have always supported our career choices and assisted us to live it with CUB students. Whoa!